Welcome back. Distinguished Senator, you've been in the National Assembly for 3 terms. What, in your view, are your achievements for these years that you spent in Parliament?
Well, one of the achievements I would say was the girl-child education. I think I'm one person that I'm a propagator of the girl-child education. If there was no UPE in 1976, probably I wouldn't have gone to school. So I'm a product of the UPE, and I strongly believe that no matter how impoverished a family is, if indeed the government is sincere with the UBE now, and then every Nigerian will be given the right to go to school, especially the girl child. And even when the Child's Right Act came on board, I know I played a very, very vital role in seeing that the Girl Child Act was passed into law. It wasn't easy for us, especially in northern Nigeria, where the issue of when do a girl get married, and the issue is that we have an age bracket for the girl. That was a cross that most of us had to hang on, to carry on, to explain, especially with our clergymen and what have you. But the thing,
so you did a lot of lobbying.
We did a lot of lobbying. I think we almost had a problem when they said, no, a girl should not get married until she's 18. I think I spoke with the minister then, the president of Aisha Ishmael, that I think we have to play down on the age. A girl starts school at the age of 6. She goes to secondary school maybe at the age of 12. If she can finish her secondary school maybe at the age of 15 for the GSS, or at the age of 18. I think that will have. So the minimum qualification for you to allow a girl to go to school, maybe secondary school. So some can finish at 18, some even at 19 or 20, some even at 17 or whatever. But the core thing is for us now to know, why do we want a girl to get married at the age of 18?
As far as I understand it, they did not in the end agree on that age of 18, or did I misunderstand?
No, we have to, we said the girl, if she finished her school, can be eligible to get married.
You didn't put an age.
Because we need to break this.
Okay.
But like
were you being sensitive to the cultural nuances in the north, and you needed to carry people along?
Exactly. The most important thing is allow the parent to send their children to school. No, we send them to the Arabic school. Yes, Arabic school to other sector or to other community is accepted. But in our own thing, you can go to an Arabic school, but you cannot get a job. So what do we have to do to the parent to allow the girls to go to school? Because when you see the rate of VVF, it's so high in northern Nigeria. And what is it? A man marries a girl of 18, 13. She's
sometimes
a child.
9.
She's a child. But when you allow her to mature, and she can be able to carry a child and push the child to life, I think it's far better. But parents are more aware now. But government must be proactive to see that the universal basic education is being maintained. The federal government, the state government, and the local government must fuse together if indeed we want to eradicate the issue of illiteracy in our community.
Okay, so we had that, and what else? Are there any bills that you're particularly proud of that you either sponsored or co-sponsored?
Yes, the last one, and I was happy that after I left the House, the Senate, the bill was to be concurred by the Senate, but which they didn't do, but we still...
Is it among those ones that they just passed?
Violence against, the violence against person. Because it's supposed to be violence against women. And one of the colleagues said, hey, some men too are being violated by women. So if you want us to pass the bill, then it must be against person instead of women, not to be gender discriminatory on that. And the NGOs, especially RAPA, I worked assiduously with my committee then as Chairman Committee on Women Affairs. And we went pictorial to see some violences on women, some violences on men, the children and what have you.
To bring the message home.
To bring the message home. And by those pictorial, most colleagues of ours who are the men couldn't think otherwise than to allow the bill to pass.
Okay, so now let's look forward to the next 4 years. What are the things that you think you're going to focus on in the Senate?
Well, my constituency, or the senatorial zone, is one of the most backward zones. And unfortunately, with this insurgency of Boko Haram, I think it has worsened the situation more. If I say it, nobody will know the extent of damages done on those.
No, all we do is hear, actually, so it will be helpful to hear firsthand.
Like I was, after the army were able to recapture Minchika, I was privileged with my governor then as a senator, and then as the chairman of the party, we took it upon us to go and visit Minchika because it's part of his senatorial zone then, and it was an eyesore. Even if you are a devil incarnate and you see what is there, definitely you will fall down. Now, most of the bridges have destroyed. There is a kind of a disconnect. The people in the villages cannot.
So they're isolated.
They're now isolated because there are no bridges where you can, even if you come with your vehicle, you need to park somewhere to start transporting yourself. So
what has this done for the way people live?
Like the last time we went, I think Koshoko was the order of the day. There was no water. All the infrastructure you can think of were all destroyed. When you talked about infrastructure, how will now, first you have to rebuild confidence in the lives of the people, because the question they've been asking, what have they done? That is the question they ask, what have we done as a community? Where have we gone wrong that the government has left us the way we are? And even we pleaded with the present administration, even when we visited them as indigenes of Adamawa State.
What is it, the present administration?
The present,
talking about
Muhammadu Buhari now, and we now paid him a courtesy visit, and those are the issues. And I was happy when he said one of the priority areas is to see how the northeastern Nigeria, especially Borno, Adamawa State, could be revived.
But people talk about rebuilding when a crisis is kind of over. In the last week or so, since the APC government has been sworn in, we've seen an escalation of the attacks from Boko Haram. Recently, I think Yola was attacked for the first time. How confident are you of the ability of this administration to militarily defeat Boko Haram?
I think the president has taken the first step in the right direction by visiting the neighboring countries. Secondly, what happened in Yola is something that nobody never expected it could happen. And when you see the level of attacks, mostly that environment usually is like an evening market, where you have most of these women coming out to sell the remains of what they were supposed to sell in the market, and those that are rushing to go and buy the things, maybe to make a meal for that night. So it is the downtrodden that were affected, which it is not a good thing for anybody to think about. But the government, if indeed the government is sincere, let's give him...
Is there any doubt in your mind about that?
No, I don't think I have a doubt that the president will not live to the expectation of the people. The 1980 issue is so fresh in our memory. Then he was a commander, and he was able to destroy or to chase the Metasine cycle, what have you. So we strongly believe that probably, maybe then as a military man, now he is a Democrat who is elected by the people. But there are a lot of things that the people, including myself, that believe that the president has to do so that the trust...
Give me your list. If you were to set sort of an agenda for the Northeast for him, what would be item number 1, 2, 3? Because these are your people, this is your place. You've seen firsthand the devastation that they've gone through. So more than anybody else, you should be in a position to say what is needed.
First, there must be this encouragement from government that they know their plight and they are willing to see.
So they're valued members of the
yes,
Nigerian society
yes.
and all that.
Then secondly, the devastation. The government needs, especially like the bridges, so that there should be a connection. The people are now cut off. There are traders, there are businessmen. They are, they are essentially farmers. So what happens to their farm, produce, which probably they want to sell? So they want to stand economically. Building their confidence means like that now you are giving them economic value so that they can now stand on their own. The people of Adamawa North are not lazy human beings. They are hardworking people. So, and mostly they are farmers. They believe, and if you looked at it educationally, most of the students there are now backward educationally. And again, there are others that are willing to go to school, and now they are now orphans. So government has to take a statistic of who are those children that have now been orphaned by this insurgency and see how they can now take the responsibility of their education, rebuild that confidence in them, bring them back to the society so that the society can accept them and they now know that, yes, government has not forgotten them. Because the Niger Delta was devastated. Now they had a commission, which obviously, through that commission, a lot of development came on board. A lot of the youth are employed and what have you. So if we can have that through the Nigerian Border Commission, it will go a long way to give the people of Adamawa North, Adamawa State, and Borno State, and partly Yobe, the government.
What, in your view, are the root causes of terrorism? Because people are sort of sometimes left puzzled as to why this sort of ideology appeals to, or appears to have appealed to people in the Northeast. Is it the poverty, or is it more than that? Because we see poverty in other places. They don't become terrorists.
Believe you me, I don't think I have an answer to that your question, because if you now said, is it poverty, like I said earlier on, if we talked about poverty, I'm from a very poor home. Why don't I get myself involved in terrorist act? But again, it depends on parental upbringing. Sometimes parents need to look into the activities of their children and even their words, because you cannot just have a child and just allow the child to behave the way he wants to be. And secondly, the rate of drug within our youth is becoming alarming. Government has to be up and doing to see the level of the intake of drugs. And again, some of our teaching, our religious teaching, will need to go according to the book, not according to what my mind is saying. Because to me, if you talked about poverty, if you are an abled man, you can go and find something to do. And this issue of government sweeping everything under the carpet, someone has committed a crime, allow the rule of law to have its course. Who are those people behind the Boko Haram? How many have been caught? And in the process of interrogation, were they able to get some certain information? Like what happened in Adamawa State, there was one of the Boko Haram guy that was dressed as a woman. And when he was caught and they were beating him blue-black, he said he was the 30th person that came into Adamawa. So again, what happened to the security agents? Were they able to sniff some information from this guy and to now know where those people are? You are talking about 30 terrorists coming into a community. Only God knows how many are at large. So those are the things. So it's not a government issue thing. It is the community, it is the individual, it is the government. Everybody must be involved in security. So once if the people are becoming more aware, the people now believe that it is their responsibility to protect themselves, to protect their community, and to protect the nation at last. Then it will go on. But the government must be involved. And there must be, I'm still saying it, that there must be this confident building from the government to the community and vice versa.
Let us take a break. When we return, we get personal with Senator Binta. We speak about gender, faith, and family. Don't go away.